Hey everyone, welcome back. My name's dustinkreis, and today I'm going to talk about a topic that I've kind of talked about in different videos over the years, and I kind of want to do a sort of a concise video on it. I'm not sure how concise this will be because I just thought about doing it while I was sitting upstairs playing a game. But yeah, WRPGs versus JRPGs. When people talk about RPGs out there, there's two kind of games that they talk about. Western RPGs, which is more based on like Dungeons and Dragons, and JRPGs, which are more based in the tropes of Final Fantasy and Dragon Warrior, or Dragon Quest, I guess is now it's called. I kind of wanted to talk about my own experiences with both genres, and why I tend to choose one over the other. And if you're a longtime viewer of the channel, you know I love my JRPGs. I cannot get enough of them. And I was sitting upstairs playing Witcher 2, Assassins of Kings, and it really dawned on me why I prefer JRPGs. When I started playing RPG games back in the day, my first experience with RPGs was Dragon Warrior 1. And I think really it's where you begin playing your games that really sort of sets your taste as a gamer for the rest of your life. And there was just something about the exploration and the crafting of my own story with Dragon Warrior that I just loved to death. And it continued into with Dragon Warrior, the story is very sparse, so you can create your own story. But then when I started to get into games like, Final Fantasy III and Chrono Trigger, that actually told a well-written story for its time, I was really drawn into that. So JRPGs were always sort of my my go-to games in the early days. And, back in the early video game era, the NES and the Super NES, you really didn't see a lot of Western RPGs. Every now and then you'd get like a Dungeons and Dragons, video game and stuff, but they usually weren't very good. You always kind of went towards the JRPGs. I would argue that it really wasn't until like the PlayStation 2, Xbox era that Western RPGs started getting really popular. And in a lot of regards, that is due to, it's behind me right here. This game right here, Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. A lot of PC gamers are going to, cry foul at that, of course, because they're like, oh, I was playing Baldur's Gate before you even knew what was what. But PC has always seemed kind of niche to me in a lot of ways, whereas consoles have always been very much more mainstream in terms of gaming. And I think in a lot of ways that's still very true. I know a lot of PC gamers out there, if they're watching this video, their buttholes are probably, just clenched at that. But I think it's, I do believe it's kind of true. At least in the journalistic viewpoint of, the video game universe. But it really wasn't until this game came out that I started to notice a lot of people liking to play Western RPGs. And I have to admit, this is a fantastic game, and I loved playing this game. Never beat it, but I loved playing it. And but for me, when I was playing this game, something was always missing. And this is where we're going to get into why I prefer JRPGs over Western RPGs. To me, JRPGs have always been a single-player experience, okay? I remember sitting in my bedroom playing all the Dragon Warriors on the NES by myself, just completely enraptured in these games. Final Fantasy III, for fuck's sake. I played that thing 17 times. Beat it 17 times, Yeah, it always was sort of me coming home from school and just plugging, getting my homework done and then plugging that thing in and just escaping into another world. That's what I loved about JRPGs. They always drew me into another world. Now, Well, you're saying to yourself, well, Dustin, can't Western RPGs do the same thing? And I will say yes, unless you're like me and your first experience with a Western RPG was a tabletop pen and pencil game called Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, that was my introduction to sort of the Western style of RPGs. Because as much as we talk about like Kingdoms of Amalur and The Witcher 2 and The Elder Scrolls, these are all very reminiscent of Dungeons and Dragons. They're all very rooted in that mindset. Whereas, you know, Western RPGs are very much based on the assumption of choice. And this is, you know, basically like a sandbox world. Whereas a JRPG is more like watching a movie where the plot is very structured and you move through it. So why do I prefer that sort of structured plot to the more open world of Western RPGs? It goes to the fact that since my introduction with Western RPGs was Dungeons and Dragons, I've always viewed an open world, do anything you want to style gameplay as a multiplayer experience. For those of you out there that have not sat down and played pen and paper RPGs, I feel really sorry for you because you are missing out on something that is wholly unique and you truly, I mean, you can't beat it when you get a group of friends around. You know, everyone brings their own 6-pack of beer and you order out a couple pizzas and you just sit and roll dice and explore this world and just do goofy ass shit with each other. I mean, there's, you know, the stories of my D&D campaigns, you know, one guy made a suit of armor that had like an ab trap that can laugh when he did something amazing. You know, it's just stupid shit like that that makes the games worthwhile. And I always feel like when I play a Western RPG like Elder Scrolls or The Witcher, I'm sitting there playing The Witcher, you have all this choice in front of you, but you have no one to enjoy the ridiculousness of the choices. It always feels like when I play a Western RPG, I'm missing out on, you know, my friends sitting around a table and we're all, you know, half drunk playing this game and just laughing our asses off. That's the reason why I always prefer JRPGs to a Western RPG. You know, I think my first introduction to a Western style RPG was this game. And by this time, I'm throwing things. I think I had, you know, yeah, I played Dungeons & Dragons before I played this game. So, you know, it always feels like I'm missing out on a certain aspect of the gameplay with a Western RPG. And of course, that is a complete, you know, my brain not doing something right. But when I sit back and I play games, you know, in my, well, right now, my game room, and I'm doing it as a single-player experience, I want it to be a JRPG. I mean, I'm having a great time playing, you know, The Witcher 2 upstairs. I think it's a great game. But for some reason, I feel like I should have a couple people around me to sort of discuss the choices that I'm making in this game, you know. Should I side with this faction or that faction? And then we'd sit for like 20 minutes and just make up jokes about each faction and that kind of stuff. And then eventually I'd make my choice and we'd go with it, you know. It's completely my own brain fucking itself. But when I play a Western RPG, I feel like I'm missing something. And when I play a JRPG, I feel like it's more like, you know, watching a movie or reading a novel. It's more of a singular experience. And I really like that about it. I like that, you know, in a lot of ways it's kind of a linear thing. A lot of times when I play Western RPGs, especially The Witcher, until I realized like what it was doing, where it's more of a hub world in each act. I think the next one, The Witcher 3, is going to be a much more open world game. But with open world games, a lot of the time I'm sitting around going, well, what the fuck do I do now? You know, and I don't have like a DM or some other you know, party members that bounce ideas off of, you know. So you're kind of stuck by yourself, and then of course you resort to going to GameFAQs and looking up a wiki or something to figure out what you're supposed to do next. So a lot of people really like Western RPGs, and I understand that. And I'm not knocking you in any way. I think, I have a great time with the Elder Scrolls game. I have a great time with Fallout. I'm having a great time with The Witcher. But for me, a Western RPG with that open sandbox style world is always going to be a multiplayer experience with pen and paper, sitting around with your friends, drinking beer, and eating a lot of pizza, It's always going to be that, and it's never going to be able, even video games, it's never going to be able to escape that. Even when I was playing Crimson Shroud, which was kind of a JRPG take on a Western RPG with the dice rolling and things like that, even then, I kind of got like the hunger pains for sitting around a table rolling dice, you know what I mean? And I never get that with JRPGs. JRPGs, they're very focused on telling you the story they want to tell you. Whereas a Western RPG, it's more your story. Like, my playthrough of The Witcher 2 is going to be completely different than your playthrough of The Witcher 2. And it sucks because the way these video games kind of are, unless, like with the all gen gamers, another gaming podcast, we're kind of getting a Facebook group together of people that kind of just sit around and talk about games. And unless you have that, you're kind of missing out on that multiplayer experience of a Western RPG, at least as I see it. So yeah, I guess that's, I don't know if that video is very coherent, but I guess that's kind of why I prefer JRPGs, because if I'm playing as a single player, sitting on a couch in front of a TV playing a game, I don't really need there to be a lot of choices unless I can sit around and joke around with my friends about, the various choices that are presented to me. It's such a weird thing now that I'm saying this out loud, and I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of comments. That's really a fucking crazy idea. But yeah, I guess that's the reason why I don't prefer Western RPGs. And I guess also a thing is, Western RPGs never really escape the J.R.R. Tolkien or just that medieval setting. They never really escape that, except for like Fallout, which that's probably why Fallout 3 was like so mind-blowing when I played it. But it's like JRPGs, you're presented with a different world in every game, You have Dragon Quest, which is very medieval. You have Final Fantasy, which is very sort of cyberpunk. And then you have like Xenoblade, which is just like, I don't even know what to describe Xenoblade as. But it seems like in every JRPG, they try to create a very unique world in a lot of ways. Whereas, like, Fable and Kingdoms of Amalur and Elder Scrolls and even The Witcher, they're all kind of interchangeable in a lot of ways. And even, like, JWRPGs, I guess, like, Demon Souls and Dark Souls, very much set in European Middle Ages. And I don't know about you guys. I used to really like, knights in armor and things like that. I'm getting really fucking sick of it. Like, I'm just like, I'm playing The Witcher and I'm seeing these costumes that these people wear and I'm like, it feels like I'm watching The Seventh Seal by Ingmar Bergman, I'm just like, God fucking damn it. Can you create of course these games are based on the novels, the Witcher series, but I'm just like, Kingdoms of Amalur, there's no reason why it should have looked like, fucking Lord of the Rings. Make your own world. God damn it. This is turning into a rant. But yeah, I don't know. I enjoy Western RPGs, but I don't see I don't see myself picking up Kingdoms of Amalur. I don't see myself picking up Fable 3. I don't see myself picking up Dark Messiah, Might and Magic. I just don't see it. But I know there's a lot of people out there who's like, well, your JRPGs all look the same. They have all those androgynous males as their heroes. And that's true. I guess it's just a matter of perspective now that I think about it, A lot of people out there play a lot of first-person shooters, and I think all first-person shooters pretty much play the same unless you're playing like BioShock. I guess it's an interesting topic, sort of defending your genre, I guess, because basically every genre is kind of extremely similar now that I think about this. This has really turned into a rambling video, but I think it's sort of an important topic out there. You know, everyone has their genre. It's kind of like Scream. Everyone has their genre. You know, why is your genre so important to you? I know, you know, as a young sort of adolescent, I was very isolated because I was the red-haired, freckly, nerdy kid, you know. And of course, I lived very far away from the friends I did have because I lived in a rural school district. So JRPGs kind of became my solace, you know. Here I was going on these grand adventures, you know, with party members and things like that. And in a lot of ways, you know, it's kind of a sad thing to think about. But back in the day, you know, like Dragon Warrior 3 and Final Fantasy 3, those were, you know, I would dare say I spent more time with them than I did with actual friends. So in a lot of ways, that's why those games mean so much to me nowadays as a grown adult. Of course, I evened out in high school and got more friends and everything like that. But, you know, those awkward years, they're tough. So JRPGs always hold a special place in my heart. But Western RPGs also hold a special place in my heart when I have my friends sitting around a table rolling dice and drinking beers, you know. So I don't know. I don't know what the response I want this video to be. I kind of want to hear why people enjoy the genre they do. Like, why is that your genre? Why does that make you just so excited to see the next game in your genre? And if you're an RPG player like me, why do you choose JRPGs over Western RPGs, or vice versa? It's really kind of a broad subject. You know, if you're not an RPG player, tell me why you love your genre. Tell me why you love fucking Call of Duty so much. I don't get it, but I like Halo and I like BioShock, so I can probably relate to you on some topic, but I don't get the whole Call of Duty thing, but explain it to me, you know? So, yeah, that was a really rambling video, and but I was in a rambling mood. So anyway, I'm going to go back upstairs and play Witcher 2, and yeah, so. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching, take care, I'll see you next time. Jesus Christ.